Right, everybody, I think we can start. Welcome at this read session. Once again, we are sort of on our final stages of the book, The Art of Scale. I'm going to leave you with this book today, and yeah, for you to read if you're interested in Mastering the Craft of Growth by Jason Goldberg. Now, this is probably not everybody's cup of tea. Just keep the book if you buy the book or um, yeah, whatever the way you do your reading. Um, Keep it on your shelf because it's got very, very good guidelines for strategy implementation, for people aspects of strategy and so forth. So let us just recap. Okay, there's my famous sort of a line, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. By Leonard Cohen, I just love this song and um, and the art of possibilities. That's where everything starts. So the book, The Art of Scale, Mastering the Craft of Growth. We've been looking at this is the third session on it, and this would be the last session on the art of growth. The content was the art of scale, the art of strategy. I think a very nice sort of, oh, where am I now? Um, the art of strategy, I think the most important part. Then the art of team, all the people aspects. And I've been having a conversation yesterday with one of the DBA students in terms of the people aspect in business today, especially with artificial intelligence. And her context is mining and how difficult it is to implement um, artificial intelligence or technology within the mining context. Then today we're going to focus on the art of execution, and I'm going to leave the rest for you to navigate. We said with the art of strategy, set your sails to catch the wind, become the number one organization. If you want to become the number one organization, you must have A players. And that was last month's session. The art of people, managing transitions to keep people thriving, the art of attraction. How do you attract people to your number one organization? The art of selection, a system for hiring. Now, Jason plays or is uh, consistent in his way of thinking in terms of systems. For everything, you need to have a system to move you forward for growth. So a selection, the art of selection, a system for hiring of A players. How do you go about that? So we covered a lot last time. Art of leading, bringing the best out in your people. And I think it's a theme that we've touched on before. And the art of possibilities and how you could maximize people's capacity. The art of leading, bringing the best out in our people, and the art of culture, a very, very important chapter in the book, creating an A-team environment where people can thrive. If there's no room for creative thinking, if there's no room for innovation, and you would know that innovation is the practical part of creativity, then rather leave your organization. The art of culture, I just love this from Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So the importance of culture. Now, today we're going to focus a little bit on the art of execution. So many times we have good strategies on paper, and then on the application thereof, we lack. I think it's one of the problems probably with a lot of governments and a lot of organizations. They have brilliant plans, but the execution lack. So what Jason does, he gives us 7 disciplines. He says it's very important if you want to execute to have discipline, and therefore you need to focus on these 7 disciplines. So discipline 1, focus on the widely important. I just love this. I think it is so important. Disciplines and habits to tame the whirlwind and achieve big goals. Ideas are easy. Implementation is hard. I respect traction more than ideas. Kawasaki. I think it's a truth we could hold on to. And it says there's three success keys. Focus, focus, focus. I think there's a book on focus somewhere. Mission, align the team with your mission. And then, once again, an execution system. Now, he harpers on this as something of key importance. Focus, a mission-aligned team, and disciplines, execution, system. These are the 3 keys to success in any high-stakes expedition. Now, he's got this beautiful story about Robert Scott and Ronald Amundsen that both had teams going to the South Pole, and the one was British and the other one was Norwegian, and they had different strategies. And beautiful story to read why Ronald Amundsen actually was more successful than Robert Scott. And Robert Scott, at the end, all his people succumbed to death one day before they reached the actual assembly point, which they would have made it. In any way, Ronald Amundsen was first at the point. Successful small steps are always goal-directed. Success is the outcome of setting the right short-term goals, accumulating small wins that add up to reaching your long-term goals. And I think this is really a truth. I always tell students, baby steps. It's good to have the end in mind, but to get there, you need small steps to reach short-term goals, which builds up to your long-term goal. Before you know, you are finished with your dissertation. So execution, the real problem with execution is not about the strategy, but about the ability to execute. And he referred to Chris Keasney, the 4 disciplines of execution. To scale, you need to execute. To execute, you need to beat the whirlwind. To do that, you need a system. Once again, his focus on systems. And it all boils back to processes and systems. If you have the right system, probably you will reduce cost, you will reduce waste, and you will scale your business to profit. So he says, if you want to execute, you need a game plan. And now he talks about components. Component one, he says winning moves. And the criteria for winning moves, it must change the game for your business. It must exploit market conditions and trends. It must build on your strategy, and it must be doable in 2 to 3 years, not more than 4. So the first component for a game plan, he says, is winning moves. Let's look at the next component. Component 2 is your BHAG. That's your big, hairy, audacious goal. The North Star, the one single goal. Yeah, it brings me to our next book. We are going to discuss living our North Star, aligning spiritual and management innovation practices. It's a new field in business science which we're going to explore. So it must be a game changer. It must be singular. It must have a start time, a finish line, a deadline. It must have the same timeline as winning moves. It must inspire your staff, and it must have a mathematical link to your number one component. So he makes a lot about the big, hairy, audacious goal. That's not the only thing. I will get to his next story. So spend a lot of time in formulating the big, hairy, audacious goal. I found it very funny. So component 3, execution blueprint, WIGs. Now, WIGs is widely important goals. So the production of WIGs, the marketing WIGs, sales WIGs can all lead to BHAG. That's your big, hairy, audacious goal. If the WIGs are achieved, the BHAG can be achieved. And then you get to his next acronym, the objective and key results. Your OR keys, your objective result, key results. These are the words he play with in much detail, and it's worthwhile to read. So each of your silos or your activities in your organization, say production, marketing, or sales, need these WIGs, widely important goals. Yeah. Discipline 2 and 3 is delegation of execution. Align efforts with a clear structure, accountabilities, goals, and incentives. I think this is also an important disciplines. So discipline 2, align with clear organization structure, accountabilities, and goals. So it's all about the organization structure. And our MBA students will know the importance of the organization structure and the analysis thereof. But this structure also needs clear accountabilities. And you need to align business goals with these structures and accountabilities. Regularly realign each person with aligned quarterly objectives and key results. So once again, accountability. Well, it's so important if you want to take an organization forward. He says objectives and key results are the North Star of an organization, keeping everyone headed in the same direction. I think big companies, successful companies would tell you that the whole organization is aligned with um, is aligned with a singular goal that is clear for everybody. Right. So discipline 3 is very clear. Create value for the organization, but also for your employees. He's got a section on remuneration and incentives. How do you align your incentives with the objectives, the key objectives? And there's a lot of practices, different practices you can do it. He suggests you need to analyze your own context to make sure that you get it right. He gives some examples in the book that sort of didn't work specifically for that organization he discussed. So discipline 4 and 6, the game of execution, fuel team engagement by gamifying execution. So important, and I think a section that's been discussed. Maximize team engagement with a player scoreboard. Most organizations that very successful have a very good scoreboard where you are on a weekly basis in terms of your key objectives. Nothing drives the morale and engagement of a team more than winning. People want to win. They want to make a contribution that matters. Discipline 4 is all about winning. The next discipline 5, empower the team to act on lead measures. Now, this is specific for sales, I think, and marketing. He's got a section on DNA of a lead and some tips to encourage, to celebrate, to quantify and qualify. Successful organization not only quantify leads, that sales leads, but they also qualify the sales leads. So they screen them. And if you could get an organization that's 60% sort of turnover of leads, it's huge. It's very successful. Numbers create commitment, and numbers create competition, and numbers produce results. I referred to a book right in the beginning of all our sessions on risk intelligence. And risk intelligence got a little line in it I'll never forget. If you cannot measure it, it is not real. So numbers are very important. Discipline 6, maintain sacrosanct rhythms of commitment and accountability. And I feel this should be embedded in the culture of the organization, maybe with weekly commitment meetings, and it works if you have timelines and commitment meetings. Discipline 7, simplifying execution, replace friction with flow by systemizing excellence. Once again, his focus is on systems, very important. Obvious, I think he wants to sell his business in the book too. So how to systemize? It's a 9-step process. Adopt and instill a system mindset. Identify the main systems. Prioritize your most urgent systemization needs. Prepare to lead change. Recruit owners for a system. Document standard process. Conduct training, and integrate a quarterly business improvement process. So very much at the end, I think, is his sort of focus on systemization of your strategy, of your implementation, that is very important. So just do it. He would say, build your own leadership operating system. Once again, a focus on system. So next time around, we will be looking at Living Our North Star. It's a book by a colleague of mine, Marius Ungerer, and it's aligning spiritual and management innovation practices, which should be a very interesting book to read. And I will guide you through that book. So once again, we do not know what we will know. Nice to have you all in this session. Today it was nice and short. Sorry for those who came in late. Right, if you have any suggestions of books you would love us to discuss or to refer to, please let us know. Any questions you would like to ask? Any questions? No reaction? Right, thank you. Atta, how are you
Yes,
doing?
good. Thank you, Prof, for the nice summary. Just one of the points you mentioned, it triggered like some thoughts when you're talking about practicality. Some of the measure, you said if you can't measure it, it's not real. Sometimes the balance scorecard or KPIs, which is set by the organization, include some qualitative and some quantitative measures. So quantitative is easy to track, but qualitative, especially when it comes to culture, what do you suggest to how can we quantify it when, for example, you want to quantify ownership culture or a certain values that the company is trying to embed within the KPIs or balance scorecard?
Yeah, thank you for your comments. I think, we in business science prefer to work with quantitative and qualitative methodologies, and that is so important. So the quantitative, you rightly said, is easy. The qualitative you can also measure to a certain extent, although qualitative is not numbers, So I think there you need to fall back on culture once again, and what the culture within the organization is. And usually it's known to the workforce or to the institution. If you could define that culture, it's much easier than to qualify.
Thank you.
Right. More questions? The video clip is available, so you would be able to get that if you want the whole picture at the end of the book. But it's a really interesting book, tiring book though, but worthwhile to read. Great. No more questions. Thank you for joining. We will see you then next time round with our book on living our North Star. Have a great day.